I was asked by my friend, Brother Rick Daly, to do a video, and I should have posted it a few days ago, but I'm just a bit behind. But it's the I Love Jesus Challenge, and it's more or less a testimony from my understanding of, just kind of telling what the Lord means to us. And, I have found that as I've gotten older, I wish I would have appreciated more of what the Lord really means to me now. I wish I would have, really appreciated it when I was younger and took full advantage of it. But I have found Him to be, besides the obvious of salvation and the Acts 2:38 message that I follow and believe as truth, and just who He is and all the power that's contained in His name. I don't think that we really ever fully take advantage of just what His name truly means and how much authority that it does give us. But I was thinking too of, friends are always been very important to me, friends and family. And I've had many, many, many friends that come and go in my life, but Jesus Christ was a friend that, He came into my world and He stayed in my world. He created me. He knew me from before I was ever born. He knew the situations I would go through. Nothing that happens to me is a shock to Him because He knows my life. He knows exactly where I'm at. And I thank Him for that. And I thank Him for the times that, when it's just me and Him. And if I didn't really get my mind on Him, I could be very lonely. I could be very, I could be very depressed about different things. But with Him always being in my life, I don't have to worry about those times anymore. And it's easy for us as humans to get our eyes focused on ourselves and on our problem. And for those people that claim that you never do, they're not being honest with you, because we all, at times, just as Peter, when he was walking on the water, when his eyes got off of Jesus, he'd begin to sink. So we're all human. We all have those fears. We all have the difficulty of just knowing that God is always in control and that His mere mention of His name, He's just right there. And so I think that at times our humanity will cause us to think certain things or to believe certain things. When reality, when we put it all in God's hands, it's so much different. So much, in psychology we teach that a person's perception is their reality, and it's that way. Whatever you believe is going on in your world, whatever you believe of another person, that is what is truth to you. And so we need to get our perceptions out of the way and pick up, God's perceptions. And, it says about the mind of Christ. I want to put on the mind of Christ. I don't want to have Linda's mind or Linda's thoughts, because, Linda's tried many things in her lifetime and has failed. And Linda has tried to do things on her own and has just ended up in big messes. But anything that I've ever left in the hands of God, anything that I've ever let Him take control of, it never left me in a bad situation. It never left me hurt. It never left me angry. It never left me bitter. But, when we deal in our own flesh, these are the things that happen to us. And we have to look beyond those things. So today, Brother Rick, I'm thankful that you allowed me this opportunity to give my testimony and to just, talk a little bit about the Lord and what He is and what He can be to you as well as to me. He's a very present help in the time of trouble. So when you begin to feel like you're down, just know that God is right there. When you're brokenhearted, God knew that you would be brokenhearted. I sometimes get a little bit upset with people when somebody will say, well, you need to be more uplifting, or you should never feel brokenhearted. That's not true. We have emotions, and all of those emotions came from God. Jesus Himself, there's a scripture that says Jesus wept. Jesus wept. He felt emotion. Jesus loves. Jesus cares. Jesus got angry. We all have these emotions. And so for someone to try to downgrade and say that we should never have any of these emotions, they all came from God. So we're going to have them. But the difference is, God knows how to use them, and sometimes we don't know how to use them. And that's what we have to learn. We have to be like Peter and learn that when we take our eyes off of the Lord, that we're going to sink. But as long as our eyes are on Him, we're going to be able to walk on that situation. We're going to be able to walk on that problem. We're going to be able to overcome. And I was thinking, today as well, that many times we don't see through the Lord's eyes. We don't see another person through the Lord's eyes. We see them as just a horrible mess. We see them as no potential. And the Hensons had a song out, and it was called "Put Me Down." All over town, they might know that you are the worst person that there ever was, and your reputation is bad. But God can take that person, and He can reinvent you and use you. But if you continue on to give people the proof of what they think about your reputation, instead of them seeing a change in you, then your reputation will never be built back. But if they can see a change, that you're giving everything to God, that you're faithful to God, that you're going to do His work, then you will become one of the best witnesses that ever could be. And I was thinking today, my mom has been talking to me. She's been talking to me for a couple years now about the calling of God and your responsibility to that calling. And I don't think I ever realized the full impact of that until here lately. If God calls you, gives you a talent, and puts you in a church and says, this is what you need to do, then who are we to not be faithful to that position? I was thinking today, if you have a job, if you call off to that job so many times, they're pretty soon going to, for one thing, they're going to give you a little warning. You've called off so many times in such and such amount of time, and now the next time you're going to get suspended, or the next time you're going to do this, or the next time. And I thought, sometimes we think more of our natural things than we really do of the things of God. If you catch yourself missing weeks and weeks of church, and I know sometimes it can't be helped, our jobs are there, but if you catch yourself always being out and gone, and they used to preach this all the time when I was growing up and a teenager, and I've always had positions in the church. I've always been the organist or piano player or something. I was always in that position, and sometimes I would get very, very upset because they would tell me, Linda, we really need you in this position, and you're just not going to be able to take so many weeks off for vacation. You're just not going to be able to do that because God's work comes first. And I would be like, who are they to tell me what to do? I am a human being, and I deserve my breaks. I deserve to do this. And while that's very true, we do deserve some time off. Still, the work of God is very important. Just like Jonah. Who knows what Jonah's real reasoning behind? I know he really didn't want to go because, he feared the people. These people were not people of God, and he was being sent there for that message. And he decided, that maybe he was going to take a vacation and just skip the work of God. And we see what happened to him. But who knows all of the things that was running through his mind? He probably could have said, God, I just don't know who you think you are calling me to go to these people that's not going to listen to me anyway. They're the same people that's over in that city that I've seen time and time again. They're the same people, and yet you're going to call me to tell them something that's against what they think or what they believe, and you're putting my life on the line. But God had to work for Jonah, and it was only for Jonah. He could have called 20 other people, but it was Jonah's work. It was Jonah that he wanted to do this job. So I'm thankful today for the lessons that God's teaching me, and I'm thankful that I'm learning about the responsibility to the church, to my church family, to God, because, so often in life we take God for granted. We look at what all He's done, and it's easy for us to jump up and say, oh yeah, He's done this and this and this. But does our life really prove that we're appreciative? Does our life really prove that we have something within us that keeps pushing us on? Can people look at our life and see what the Lord means to us? And I hope they can. I hope that people look at my life and know that I love the Lord and that there's nothing I would not do for Him. And I am so appreciative of His love for me. And so again, thank you, Brother Rick, for this opportunity to give my testimony, and I hope in some way it's helped. I hope I haven't offended anybody, but I mean, it's my thoughts, And I will stress, this is merely my thoughts and what God has given to me and what I think about Him. So God bless you today, and I hope you have a great holiday weekend.